Today I'm going to be making an apple and blueberry pie. I'm going to start out by making my mealy pie dough. I'm going to start by sifting my flour. And I'm just going to do that real fast. And then we're going to use our butter. I cut it into little cubes. And we're going to I'm going to use a fork to cut it into my flour until the texture I want is there. You want it to look like cornmeal when it's for a mealy pie dough. Alrighty, it's been like 2 to 3 minutes of me I switched to a metal whisk because I found it was breaking up the butter just a little bit more fine. Now as you can see, it looks like coarse cornmeal. And now we're going to I combined my salt, sugar, vanilla, and milk in 1 cup. And we're just going to combine this with the flour and butter. We don't want to add too much, so I'm going to add half. And just mix it together. Then we're going to add quarter what's left. Leave just a little bit just in case it's not enough. But again, we don't want to add too much too fast. We risk ruining our dough. Alright, looks like we still need just a little bit more. Glad we saved it. Awesome. That's exactly what we want it to look like. So all of like the mealy corn flour is combining into big clumps. And now I'm just going to collect this and wrap it in saran wrap and then throw it in the fridge for like 2 hours. Got my pie dough. Gonna go set it in the fridge for 2 hours. Alrighty, now we're gonna make the streusel topping because it's simple and it's pretty much the same ingredients as our pie crust. So I'm just gonna use the same bowl. Get down on some dishes. We're gonna put our flour. This is our cinnamon and our salt, our brown sugar, and our granulated sugar. Just gonna combine this. The only real difference between a streusel topping is that it has added like a lot more sugar and flavor than a normal pie crust. And you typically add a bit more butter so that it's a bit more like crumbly and soft compared to the flaky or like crust of a pie. So it's like I've got it combined pretty well, and now I'm just gonna add my cubed butter. And we're gonna do the same thing we did with the other stuff. I'm gonna start with my fork because it breaks up the big chunks really easy, and then I'm gonna switch back to the whisk and get a little bit of a finer chop, but not too fine because I want my streusel to still be have kind of big chunks on the top of the pie. Now this is what you want your topping to look like. It'll break together into big chunks when you squeeze it. But it will break back apart very easily. And all that butter is going to leave behind a very soft, chunky, sugary topping, which is going to be great on top of our pie. I'm going to put this in the fridge to let it just sit until we're ready to put the pie together and stick it in the oven. Alrighty, now I have my pie shell ready. I've rolled it out and I've placed it in my pie dish, and I'm just gonna dock it with my fork. We don't want to go crazy, but you know, just no. And then we're gonna put a piece of parchment paper on top. And I'm gonna use rice because I don't have specific pie weights. You can use dried beans, you can use another pan or another pie tin. I'm just gonna use what I've got. What I've got is a lot of rice. I'm just gonna smush this down into my parchment paper. Maybe do a little bit more, just so that I can get the sides protected by the parchment paper a little bit better. There we go. Alrighty, now I've already got my oven preheated to 350, and I'm going to cook this with the parchment for 10 to 15 minutes and then take the parchment off and do another 10 to 15. So I have my apples, my orange zest, cinnamon, sugars, and salt all in this saucepan, and we're going to cook this over medium heat. I also have, let me just stir that together real quick, get it nice and mixed up. I also have my orange juice, freshly squeezed, and some cornstarch that I'm going to dissolve in my orange juice, and then I'm going to pour it into this mixture. I just want to get it nice and coated. That was a stubborn piece of brown sugar. Nice. Perfect. Alrighty. Now let's get this cornstarch in here. I'm just gonna stir until smooth. There's no lumps. Don't want any lumps. I think I might even pour it back into this cup and get whatever was missed as far as cornstarch. That's my pie letting me know that, pie shell letting me know I gotta take the parchment out. So I'm gonna pour this over this, bring it to a simmer, and then pull that pie shell out real quick. And it's coming together really, really nicely. We're gonna let this simmer and let the apples get nice and soft before we add the blueberries, because blueberries are much softer fruit. Alrighty, our apples are sufficiently heated and they are getting nice and soft, and our sugar is nice and hot, so we're just gonna add our blueberries. Alright, and we're gonna let these soften up in the hot juices with the apples. We have our pie tart, or our pie crust ready to go. I'm just gonna keep stirring this until those blueberries get nice and soft. They're gonna cook in the oven too, so we don't want to overcook the blueberries. But we do want to start that process. Since it's a cooked fruit filling, we don't cook it as long in the oven, so we do want to give it a little bit of a head start on the stove. And I'm just going to cover this and give it a couple of minutes while the pie crust cools down. And then we'll fill it, put the streusel topping on top, and then we will stick it back in the oven at 400 for about 20 minutes. Alrighty, time to build the pie and stick it in the oven. I've got my filling, my pie shell, and my streusel topping. I'm just going to fill it as much as I can with this filling. Alrighty. That pretty much came right up to the top of the pie shell. Let's take a look. And then I'm going to top it with the streusel topping real fast. And then I have my oven preheated to 400 already. You want a nice layer of streusel on top. Alright, that's ready to go back into the oven. 400 for about 20 minutes. Let's get our oven mitts on because that pie shell is still pretty hot. That's right. My pie's about to come out of the oven. There it goes. Oh, that's beautiful. It came out so gorgeous. Let's see.